New year, new you, right? I think that's probably what we all say this time of the year. I am so excited as we dig in today with a friend that we went to high school with. Her name is Carrie Billington, and she is literally all the things. She is a doctor of physical therapy, a certified personal trainer, and a CrossFit level 1 trainer. She's here today to talk to us about how to actually stick to the new us as we go through the year, break it down into simple things. And guess what is not on that list? Stepping on the scale. So I hope you're as excited as we are. All right. We are back. It is the new year. Obviously, I'm sure everybody listening, probably in this room, a lot of people tend to make New Year's resolutions or goals and say, oh, I'm losing the weight this year. I'm going to have that best body ever. I'm personally not a resolution maker though. So I thought we would bring someone in that is like obviously extremely qualified, has the background to help busy moms who either work or have multiples that they're running around figure out how to put themselves first, because it's really easy for us to make those excuses or stop showing up for ourselves. So I'm pretty excited. We have Carrie Billington here today. She is our interview guest, and she is a badass health guru mom. And I say that because she's literally all the things. She's a doctor of physical therapy. She's a mom of 2 boys. She helps coach others and does online coaching. And I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about herself, but she's also a high-level competitor in CrossFit. And so there's nobody better to do this interview with today, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well, and you said, she can help, busy moms and all of us who are trying to do all the things, but she can really help anybody.
Yes, she definitely helps anybody, and she'll talk about that. But I think it's nice for us to have another mom in the room with us, and also someone that we went to high school with.
Yes, and have a personal connection too.
Yeah. So I love that. And Carrie, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your background.
Okay. Well, I kind of started in like the CrossFit. I guess I drank the Kool-Aid. CrossFit Hickory was like my first, I guess, introduction to CrossFit. Actually, a girl that we went to high school with, Anna Ruggles, took me there for my, well, actually, she had me come for my first class and then she didn't show up. So, but it was cool. It was awesome. I went in there, didn't really know what to expect. And it kicked my ass. Am I allowed to say ass?
Yes.
Yes. So it did. It kicked my ass and I loved it. And I went back for more, and it was kind of just downhill ever since. So
when was that? Like what year was that?
I want to say 2015, maybe.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then you also, your professional life leading up to that, before you kind of made that full transition into fitness and nutrition and coaching, is also physical therapy.
Right.
And so like you've always had this fitness background.
Right.
What turned you on and made your passion fitness, whether it be for yourself in this competition or for others, because you were starting that too?
I don't know. I think like honestly, it just kind of fell like hand in hand. Like when I graduated college, I was in cheerleading and all that kind of stuff. And before that, I did a lot of sports and stuff. And so then it was like I needed some kind of a competitive outlet. So I needed something to like train for or something to do. So that was kind of like my motivation. And that kind of like led me into that. And then when I started doing like physical therapy, I started seeing like how certain movements would like help different things. And like it was really cool because at CrossFit Hickory, we had people that were teenagers and then we had people that were 70 years old. So that was cool. Like it really opened up my eyes to like, oh my gosh, I could do this forever.
Yeah.
So obviously not like competitive CrossFit. It gets a bad rap sometimes, but it is a lot of stuff with your joints and things like that. So I mean, the physical therapy part is good because then I can address that.
Yeah. So I have a team member. He was also very much a CrossFit junkie. He still is. And he was always like, same thing. He said, we have teenagers and high school athletes, but we also have like 75 to 85-year-olds. And he always talked about, I believe it was like the push and the pull. And what are the 3 functions of CrossFit that allow everybody to be able to participate in it? Push, pull. Do you remember is there 3 or is there just 2?
I mean, I know like variability and stuff. Like with different movements, and you can always like modify the weights, or you can modify the movement completely. We have like a whole adaptive athlete community, which is really cool. Like people climb ropes with no arms. People do things in wheelchairs that you're like, oh my gosh, how does this person do that? That is super cool.
Yeah.
There's a whole competition series called Wheel Wad, and it's like for all adaptive athletes. It's super cool.
That's awesome. Wheel Wad. We'll have to like link that so people can go check them out too and support them.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, and also there's a lot of physical therapists that go to that and kind of like help and look at the different movements and things that like try to help people figure out how to modify so that they still can get a good workout.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
I had no idea that even existed.
Yeah. A big competition that I do is called Wadapalooza.
Yes.
Every January.
I've been following your journey. So
Yeah.
like, where are you at in that?
So I'm actually going in January. This one's gonna be just kind of for fun. I have 2 people on my team. One is from my grid team, which is like a whole different thing than CrossFit. But and then another girl that I met through CrossFit, and we just kind of connected and we're really good friends. She lives in Charlotte now. So we still just kind of stay connected with all that.
Yeah. It's down my way.
Yeah. Where are you at?
Belmont.
Belmont. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm down there with like the bronze and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in that area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Carrie, who is obviously a working woman. You do your stuff. We talked about this before we got on here in the morning. Then we have Carrie, who's a mom who has 2 tots. And then we have Carrie, who's a competitor. How do you manage all these versions of yourself together?
That's a good question. Sometimes I really don't know. I feel like it just kind of falls into place, but that's really hard actually. I think just being organized and being like super prepared each day helps a lot. Plus my husband, he's on the same page. So one thing like today, he's probably meal prepping right now. So that's helpful. I do have that on my side. And then I don't know, I have to get up early to get work done before I deal with the boys, because one's 2 and one is 1. The 2-year-old's about to turn 3 though, so he's kind of like stepping it up a little bit, and he's able to do some things, although he's like at the stage where it's like I can do it myself, so that part's hard.
They can do it, but then there's mess to follow.
Yes, and I'm lucky they do go to a half-day program, so that helps me because then I can work and do all that stuff. And then that's typically when I do go to the gym. So they love to go to the gym, but I don't love to take them with me.
Yeah.
They stop me like 100 times while I'm doing my workout.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
times. Good
Yeah.
times. So like walk us through like your typical day. Like what exactly is your wake up time? Like take us through that like in a more specific way.
So it kind of varies, but typically I guess a lot of times I'll wake up at like 5:30 or 6. And then I'll get on my computer like as soon as I wake up, like my feet hit the ground, I go get some coffee, and then I get on the computer. And then I'm doing mostly like plans. So I'm doing like meal plans for people. I'm doing their fitness programs, anything that I have to update or change, that's what I'm doing. And typically I'll usually have like a new client. And so that's what I get them established and everything. Then when the boys wake up, Tyler usually goes to the gym during that time. So then the boys wake up. So I'm the one that does like, the lunch packing, getting them all ready, all that kind of stuff. They do get some screen time so that I can actually get that done. So that's their morning. And then after that, once they get to school, I take them to school, and then I'll either go to the gym straight away or I'll be doing Zoom calls with people.
What time's drop off?
Right now it's at 8:30, so I can do 8:10 to 8:30, somewhere in there.
Okay, 8:10 to 8:30, drop the boys off. Then you're either going to the gym or you're going back home to do more work.
Right. I'll do Zoom calls. Sometimes I go to like Waterbean or one of those little coffee shops.
Nice.
And I'll do that. It's just kind of nice to be a little bit somewhere different.
Oh yeah.
I pop into those ones sometimes for work too.
Yeah.
So you are a fitness and nutrition coach, and most of it's online.
Yep.
What is your approach to fitness? I know it's not one size fit all, but do you have like a model or a system that you follow that you know is maintainable and successful for everybody that you start with?
That's a good question too. So, it kind of depends on the person. So, I have people that come to me all the time and they're like, I want to do keto or I want to do this. And I try to talk them out of it. But sometimes people want to do certain things like that. And I just don't think that's very sustainable. So typically I go with more of a macro-based approach. But most people, when they come to me, they don't know what that means.
Right. So let's talk about that for a second, because keto and Whole30 and things like that are not sustainable, like you said, which I'm a firm believer in too. Like sometimes we'll do the Whole30 for a reset, but it's not a lifestyle you can live for sure.
Yeah.
And you're saying a macro, which a lot of people don't know about.
Right.
What were you gonna ask?
I was gonna say, let's, I was gonna ask the same thing. Let's dig into that. What exactly does that mean for somebody who has no clue?
Okay, so typically, like, you're looking at your 3 main macronutrients. So you're looking at your protein, your carbs, and your fats. And so what I do is I come up with an approach for them to give them a certain percentage of their overall calories. So you got to look at like their age, you got to look at what they do every day, like their occupation, their activity level. Most people overestimate that so much.
They think they're more active than they really are.
Yeah.
Overrating.
Right. Like you would think that I'm like super active,
but on scale.
Yeah, like, okay, so say on a typical day, I might only get 4,000 steps a day. So I'm not super active, but yet I go to the gym and I work out really hard for like an hour or two, but then I sit on my butt the rest of the day. So I'm not the person that's like super active. Like you can't just click that box for me.
Are super actives like probably like your competitive athletes and people who, I mean, like that's just a part of their everyday.
Yeah, and like endurance athletes, they're gonna eat a lot more calories and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
What about like someone who it doesn't necessarily like work in an office? Maybe they're on their feet a little bit more, but they're not an endurance. Like I'm just thinking about my industry. I'm thinking about like a construction worker.
Right.
Like, would you say they're active?
I would say like lightly active.
Yeah. Yeah, because your body acclimates to that and that just becomes a part of the normal thing, right?
Right.
So the percentages of those 3 areas, you calculate those.
Yes. And so part of what I do that's a little bit different than some of the other people, I will create a meal plan with like specific foods. So like you're gonna know, now I can't call it a meal plan, it's a meal guide because I'm not a dietitian. So in North Carolina, that is one thing, it's a meal plan guide. So with that, I will give you the foods and then you can kind of vary off of that. So like say a typical breakfast is like 2 eggs, toast with jelly, protein shake.
Say you can have jelly. There's jelly on the toast. And you have bread.
Of course.
Wow.
Yes.
And bread.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't cut those things out unless you do keto and all that. But just, if it has a name, it's not sustainable. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I'm not a counter. I really hate having like all day long I'm having to be very calculated and decision making and constantly. What if someone like me was to come in there and they're like, I can't count my calories, I can't count my macros, I can't count my grams. What do you tell them?
So that's one good thing about making a meal plan for them.
That eliminates the counting.
Yeah. And so obviously it's best to cook your own food.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And then weigh it on a scale. But if you can't, that's okay too, because I give you, what you're supposed to eat, and then you can do portions as far as like the palm of your hand, the size of your thumb, like things like that, so that it's like you can eyeball it and it's quick. That's a good way. I also have people that are like, I can't cook at all. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to have to come up with something that you can buy at the store for every single meal. And we make it work. So
give us an example of that. Like if somebody's like, I am not going to cook, or they're just a single individual at home because they're like, I'm not going to cook, it's just me.
Right.
What are some examples that you would send them to the store to get?
So that's a good question. I have a guy right now, he's in California. He doesn't even have like anything in his house besides a microwave.
Oh, he like lives in like a bedroom apartment.
Yes, he does not do anything. So he buys boiled eggs. So he
already boiled.
Yep, he can have boiled eggs. He has like protein bars. He'll have like a protein shake. For lunch, sometimes we do a frozen meal. Sometimes we do like rotisserie chicken with like frozen vegetables and things like that, so he can just go pick it up. He does a lot of cottage cheese because that's a lot. It's high in protein.
Yeah.
Greek yogurt, things like that. Then we also always do like frozen yogurt. It's like that's my thing.
It's like a treat. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yasso brand frozen yogurt's awesome.
Yasso brand frozen yogurt.
They're just like bars. They're like 100-ish calories, but it's still got some protein in it.
Yeah.
And if you get used to it, it's like your ice cream fix, and it's good.
Okay.
So
Great.
yeah.
Have to just note that in our show.
I will.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mentally.
And then go buy some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's
Do
all
your
kinds of
kids like
flavors.
them?
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
what needs to happen. I need
Yeah.
to find
Yes.
something that my kids like that have
Yes.
healthy
Brilliant.
things to them.
Yeah, they love, I think there's like a chocolate chip cookie dough and then a fudge brownie. They like that one. But they're only allowed to eat that when they sit in the bathtub. Because
Because it gets everywhere.
yeah.
Now, do your kids, we're all moms here, do your kids eat the same way that you and your husband eat? Or how do you live that life?
So unfortunately, no.
Mine either.
We still buy dino nuggets and all of those things. The 1-year-old, he'll pretty much eat anything. The 2-year-old eats nothing. They're almost the same weight. So we pretty much anything the 2-year-old will eat, that's what he eats.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did the 2-year-old at one point eat and now is just no longer eating, or has he always been like that?
He's always been like that.
So,
He was like our baby that they like made us come do the weight checks all the time.
Yeah.
because he wouldn't eat anything.
Yeah.
I think it's a personality thing. I'm the same way. I've got one that won't eat anything besides processed junk.
Yeah,
And
that's
another that'll eat somewhat healthy. She'll
Mhm.
try everything. So, but there's not, you're not guaranteed anything. And
Yeah.
today may be different than tomorrow. So
right.
it's a constant.
Yeah, one day he'll eat good, and then the next day he eats like nothing.
Yeah.
So weird.
And they will survive. We all survived. We probably did the same.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just think
Probably-
about the things that we ate, and I just feel like I'm trying hard to like not just buy all the processed things, even though my son's the same way. That's what he'll eat.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're trying.
So as a coach, say someone comes to you and they're like, I just don't know how to prioritize. Because sometimes coaches are like, yeah, you have to eat and do the workouts and things like that. And it's like, I don't have the schedule to do all those things. How would you tell them to prioritize fitness, food? How do you work that into that?
So nutrition is going to be your base. If you can't work out at all, if you can get your food dialed in, then you're good to go. So obviously like the fitness part is like the icing on the cake. But I totally understand. Like that is my biggest pet peeve. Actually was going to make like a post about that recently because it makes me so mad when the 22-year-old fitness influencer that doesn't have a job and doesn't have kids says that we all have the same 24 hours in a day. That makes me so mad because I've had like several clients that they're like, this is what they told me. And like, it's just not doable. Yeah, because you have 4 kids. I get it.
And they all have activities.
Yeah.
And you probably have a part-time or full-time
Oh,
job.
yeah.
Momming is a full-time job. So yeah.
So the nutrition part is like the
Number
biggest
one.
thing. Yes. So then if you can do that, even if you can work out 2 or 3 times a week, you're still going to get some benefit. Obviously weight training is going to be more beneficial than cardio.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of research about that now. Like cardio is good as far as cardiovascular health, but resistance training is going to be more like bang for your buck. I have a hard time with that because I like to sweat. I like to feel like I did something.
Me too.
So
yes.
that's hard for me too. So I get it, but you're going to get more bang for your buck because the more muscle that you add, the more your metabolic rate goes up.
Okay. So weight training versus cardio, but still trying to get some cardio in.
Yep.
And 2 to 3 days a week.
Yeah.
If you're super busy,
Yeah.
is kind of the goal.
Yeah.
So one thing that I do that's really like beneficial for me, like I follow a very specific training plan. So like if I miss a week or something, it's gonna mess me up because the next week's probably gonna go heavier or something. percentage wise, and so it will mess me up. So what I do is I like write my whole training plan out for the week.
Mhm.
So I'm on there I use a program called Blacklisted. So I got with them when we did group. So that's kind of how I met them. But with their plan, they have like all kinds of people on there, and there's a lot of people that are like college kids. So like they can do all their stuff. Like if it's all for Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day, like they can do it all how it's written. I can't do that. A lot of it's 2 a days too.
Yeah.
I can't do that. So I just write everything out and then chip away at it. So that's a good way to do it. Like
That
you
is-
look
I
at your
love
week
that.
as a whole.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and just kind of like check it off as you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I like that. That's because that's obtainable to do. I love checklists too, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I have it written out for the week, I need to probably start doing that. I
Yeah,
love
it
that.
really helps because like a week ago, 2 weeks ago probably, our kids had some kind of stomach bug. So like that, like for 2 or 3 days, I cleaned up puke like all day. So I was doing that, and I would have like maybe 10 minutes to go do something.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
on those days I couldn't do anything. But then later in the week when they got better and everything, they went back to school, then I had like 2 hours. So I could like really do what I wanted to do.
Get it. Yeah. Punch it back out.
Yeah.
And of course, you're doing CrossFit stuff, but like for your clients,
Yes.
are you recommending like specific workouts, or is it just CrossFit, or how does that work? Like what kind of exercise are you recommending for folks?
So I do all like individualized stuff.
Mhm.
So most people don't want to do CrossFit, which is fine, totally fine. I with my like questionnaire and stuff, it goes by like what equipment they have, things that like if they have injuries, things like that. So most people that I program for are not doing CrossFit.
Okay.
But I do try to push them to do resistance training.
Mhm.
Right.
So, but sometimes it's hard because like they don't have equipment or things like that. So that makes it tough, but
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, that was actually gonna be one of my questions. If you were to recommend, say somebody's like, I wanna get a couple things to have at home. To be able
yeah.
to do home workouts because I might have 10 minutes when a kid's napping, or I might just be able to get up a little bit earlier in the mornings before I get the house moving, which is what I do.
Yeah.
What are a few of the staple items you would suggest them investing in to have at home?
So dumbbells, like a light set, a moderate set, and
Mm.
maybe even a heavy set if you have like the budget for that. And then like resistance bands are great. You can do a lot with that. But then I tell people all the time, like you can get creative in your house. Like there's a lot of different things that you can use for like resistance training.
Yeah.
I had this one lady that she would do all kinds of things with this speaker that she had. Like she did all kinds of things with it. And like as long as you can stay in good positioning, like obviously you don't want to be like trying to lift something and your back's rounding and all that kind of stuff. That's not good. But you could put stuff in a laundry basket and like do a lot with that. I mean, you just have to get creative sometimes.
That's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really ethical. Like
Yeah.
if you're at home
Yeah.
doing normal things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know you wanted to ask about supplements, or if there's like,
Oh yeah. So I mean, I know you're doing the nutrition, you're telling folks, you're giving them a workout plan of some sort.
Mhm.
Do you have them supplement their nutrition with anything?
So depending on the person, yes. Most people tend to be pretty deficient in magnesium. So I typically will talk to them about that. There's like all kinds of different forms of magnesium. So typically I recommend magnesium malate, which is more for like daytime use, and it's going to be like for your bones, your joints, all that kind of stuff. Then at nighttime, I recommend magnesium glycinate. And so that's going to help like your muscles relax and things like that. So like after your workout and stuff, that's going to be better. I usually always say get a protein powder, because like if you miss a meal, you can always do like a protein shake. That's a good way to, you know, get some calories in and get some good protein. And then like if you're trying to build muscle, creatine is going to be like one of the best things because it's the most researched supplement out there.
oh, that's good to know.
Yes.
I do creatine certain times of the year when
Yeah.
I'm building, and so I didn't realize it was like the most researched though.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
If you don't do anything else, like creatine monohydrate is like one of the best things.
For men and women?
Yep. Yep. And honestly, I feel like that's all that you like need. Now, then you can add other things here and there.
Yeah. But you are the advocate for creatine.
Mhm.
That's good to hear.
Are there specific brands?
You know?
would
No,
recommend?
not necessarily. Just a clean version. You don't want it to like be mixed with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Like, so how would somebody know it's a clean version?
If you look for something that says like specifically like creatine monohydrate and that's it. A lot of times if you can find the plain kind, no flavors and stuff, that kind of helps
I gotcha.
too. Yeah.
Mine's gross.
But a lot of
gross.
it's gross.
Well, I think it is, because I can taste it no matter what, because
That's
I
funny.
put it in my water.
Yeah.
So it's like all I drink is water.
Is it just grainy? Sometimes it's
Yes,
grainy.
I think that's what
Yeah.
it is. I think it's that it
More
changes
like
the
the
texture
texture,
of what
yeah.
I'm used to.
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes if you put it in like Greek yogurt or like something like that, it can help.
yeah, it's a good idea. See,
Yeah.
I don't think about these things on the fly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Creatine, magnesium, which my doctor, my female doctor always tells me too. She's like, always do magnesium no matter what. So you've got it from the fitness side, you've got it from the medical side. I love that. Like, so everybody go get some magnesium, and we'll actually note the daytime and the nighttime in our notes.
Yeah,
as well.
that's good to know.
That is good to know. I did not know the difference of daytime and nighttime.
I didn't
so I
either.
need to know that.
There's like so many different kinds of magnesium too.
Yeah.
And one thing, like, do not get magnesium citrate. Like that is to flush everything out. Don't get that because that happens all the time. People will be like, I started taking that stuff and I'm drinking it. I'm like, whoa, what are you drinking? And they're like, oh, it's magnesium citrate. Don't know. That's not the same thing. Not the same thing.
I have filled more magnesium. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh geez, bless them.
Hmm.
Well, and so I've heard like the magnesium. I was just having a conversation with a friend last night about like understanding more like I don't want to call it a trend, but like this new like functional medicine, I guess is like the name for it.
Yeah.
Where people are trying to like, I'm gonna butcher this, but basically like functional medicine where you're trying to treat people and like help their deficiencies in order to help them get off like medication.
Yeah. Yeah.
And stuff like that. And magnesium came up in that conversation.
Yeah, it's very important. And like most people are deficient in that. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like an American diet kind of thing. I don't know. So
Probably is American.
yes,
It's one of those things we struggle with is our nutrition, I think, the most.
Yeah. Do you have anything? I mean, when you're doing your meal prepping, because I guess you meal prep on Sundays
usually, yeah.
and you prep for the whole, just like the work week, or do you do like all 7 days? Like, how do you do that?
Probably like usually through Saturday, and it's just usually lunch. Like,
Okay.
I pretty much get up early enough to do eggs and stuff in the morning, and I do like some form of eggs every morning. And then I'll do whatever lunch, and then we pretty much cook dinner.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we don't necessarily prep dinner, but sometimes we just like have stuff ready just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. Like easy, throw
Yeah.
together in the.
Yeah.
Do y'all go out a lot?
We go out to eat probably one time a week. That's it. We
Okay.
really don't.
Yeah. I would say we're probably the same. I know y'all won't eat out
Yeah,
while you're.
we
Yeah.
don't eat out hardly at all.
I think the other thing too is having little kids. Like it's embarrassing to go out to eat. So
Well, and especially at that
Yes.
age, I remember when mine were that little, we were like, oh, our cutoff is 5:30. So if we're not done
Yes.
eating by 5:30, it's meltdown time.
yes.
And we're not taking them in public. Same thing.
Right.
It's like embarrassing. So we were like, we have to eat. We were with the blue hairs. They're like, gotta eat at 4:30 if you're going out.
Blue hairs. I love
Yeah.
them. Yeah. That's funny.
I
Go
have
ahead.
one more question about the nutrition. So like, do you eat like all organic, or are you picky about that, or like non-GMO, or
So
I
I,
got on for toast.
I wish I was. I wish
Be organic.
I wish I was. I wish I was better with that, but I'm honestly not. Because also like a lot of times it'll say it's organic and then like it's like farmed with the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it could be beneficial. We just don't. I guess.
But it's not like something you're saying like you need to do. It's
Right.
Right.
It's the best of the best of the best. Because it's not always.
Right. If you don't go out to eat, you're like 100 times better
Oh.
than everybody else. Because like even the nice restaurants, they cook in canola oil
Mm-hmm.
and it's crap. Like but it's
Yeah.
cheap and that's what they're gonna use.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit. So
Yeah.
like your cooking oils and those types of things, what are the types of foods that you're specifically staying away from? Like what are the things that are the worst for you?
Well, like anytime you're using like canola oil, that's not good. Vegetable oil is not good. Things like avocado oil or coconut oil are going to be a better option. You know, you want to stay away from those kinds of things as much as possible.
Is it because it's made from corn or is it because of other things?
It's the type of like fatty acids and stuff in there. Yeah.
Okay.
And like there's actually some people, like I don't think there's research to back this up, but a lot of times some of the fitness gurus, I guess you'd say, they say that helps cause cellulite, and I'm like, maybe, but there's no research to back that up.
Right,
So,
right.
obviously I feel like genetically sometimes your body puts on fat the way it does, and that's just how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense if like you have some weird fatty acids in your body that don't necessarily belong there, and maybe it makes you store more fat in certain ways. I don't know.
Yeah,
So-
and that's still sometimes genetic or
Right.
things like that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So you're pretty active online.
Mhm.
And what's really cool too is you also show up with your kids online, like working out and all these things. And I just listened to a podcast the other day, which I love and advocate for a lot, is where like, you know, movement is play and play is a family affair. And I loved that whole thing with like, you know, showing up with your kids, teaching them the movements. But tell us a little bit about your online activity and presence, and then also how you incorporate your family, because I see y'all working out together.
So sometimes social media is just cringy.
Yes,
And
embrace
like,
the cringe.
wait.
You have to embrace the cringe.
Yeah.
Megan, just talk to me about this.
Yeah. So I have like that's one thing I have a hard time because like I am trying to get more clients, obviously.
Mhm.
But I don't like necessarily posting sometimes because for me it's like cringy or whatever.
Mhm.
One of my other friends, she's great. She like does all this stuff. She's the one in Charlotte. She has a great like social media account. She posts all this stuff, and she's like, "Why do you care?" And I don't know. Like, I guess it's because like the person that I went to high school with is gonna look at that and be like, "Ugh, there's another workout video," or you know, whatever. But but also I do post a lot. I share a lot.
Mm.
I don't have a lot of time to scroll. So like I
Yes.
don't necessarily look through social media a lot, but I post a lot.
Create
So-
before you consume, essentially.
yeah. Yeah, and I would like to scroll. I wish I would. I mean, like it's a waste of time, but I like to scroll. I like to see people's stuff.
Yeah.
I like to see people's dogs. I like to see people's kids, all that stuff. I like it. But yeah, and so also with like some of the sponsorships and stuff that we have like through CrossFit or Grid or whatever, we're required to make some posts.
Right.
So there's that. And it gets a little cringy sometimes.
Talk about that a little bit more. Like you're required to make a post.
Mhm.
Like what is that? What?
So with Grid, we had some different contracts with different companies. Gosh, I can't even remember them all. I know we did like Slate Milk was like one of them. Happy Thumbs Tape was one of them. I still have a contract. Tyler and I have one with Element.
Okay.
And so, but we like all these products we like use. So it's not like we're
Right.
like, it's not like something that we don't want to promote.
Okay.
So, because there have been like some companies that like want us to do stuff, and we're like, we're never going to use that, and that's weird and it's expensive. So then we don't want to do those. But like with our Element contract, we have to post like a certain amount of times a month, and then they'll pay you, and then they give you products.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so like with your business, like when did you guys officially like transition to that full time? Or was it a slow transition, or was it a like, you know, we're gonna do this? And
So Tyler was more like he started, and then like a month or two later he was like, okay, this is what we're doing. For me, it took a long time to like transition out.
And you had to do both for a while too, right?
Yes, and I was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And I was like breastfeeding and all that good stuff. So I was like crazy.
I think it's really important to highlight too that a lot of times moms, and Salem included and I included, it's kind of like we have this dream and we want to chase it, and we realize that there's this sacrifice that it's not just like for whatever reason, moms, it's like not just 1 month or 2 months in, it's like it gets crazy, it
Yeah.
feels crazy. You do both until you can fully move into that season of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
There's a
you-
lot of times, sorry.
Oh, you go ahead.
There's
go
a
ahead.
lot of times where I feel like one day I'm like, oh my gosh, I had everything together. Today is awesome. I'm gonna like kick it in the teeth. And the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Crying on your way to the gym.
Yeah, like,
like,
Tears,
Yeah.
mascara's running.
Yes.
You're like, oh my god,
That
what have I
happens
done?
so often. I'm like,
You're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not
Half the
alone.
time I'm calling Megan, just having a small meltdown in the middle of the day, thinking, what have I done?
yes, that happens a lot.
Yeah. So you started, like your career, you started out as a physical therapist.
Mhm.
Like after school, how long did you have to go to school?
7 years, basically. Yeah. I did my LR in 3. So like I did
Okay.
my undergrad in 3 years. So that was like, but then I worked for a year and then I went to PT school. So I don't know. It all kind of comes out in the wash, but
Yeah, but you did do all the things. That's pretty cool
Yeah.
to see.
Wild.
Well,
So, I mean, it's
I
awesome.
like to be busy too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Like to feel like you're getting it all done.
Yeah.
Well, Carrie, tell us, where can we find you? Where can our listeners find you and follow along? Because you do embrace the cringe, and when you do show up, it's appreciated because you're letting other women know that it's possible to be done.
Yeah.
Where can we all find you?
So I'm active more on Instagram than anything. And then I think my thing is Carrie Billington _828. I think that's my name because I think Carrie Billington was taken, to be honest. But we'll represent 828. That's fine.
That's right.
And then I do a little bit on Facebook, but it's kind of like just like show people my kids every now and then kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cool.
so mostly Instagram.
And then what's the name of your business?
So I have CB Health and Fitness, and that's like my own personal thing. But then I'm a contractor as well.
Okay.
And so I work with a company called V-Shred.
V-Shred. Yeah, we'll put all of this in the show notes. I mean, we heard
Yes.
Carrie talking about it earlier. She is taking new clients. Most of her clients are online and they're national. They're not just local to North Carolina. They're all over the place, even including in California
I have one from South Korea right now.
and
What?
South Korea. That's insane.
Oh, that's awesome.
So she's not limited to where we're located. So you should definitely go online, find her. We'll tag everything in the show notes. We're going to show up with her on Instagram a little bit. We're going to continue to embrace the cringe.
Yeah.
And continue to keep movement going. And hopefully this is something that people take not just the beginning of the year, but throughout the year with them. It's nutrition first, fitness a couple times a week, and then just kind of building it in and keep staying on top of it.
Yeah, I think you said something about being consistent, and that is the most important thing. Like doing a lot is way better than doing a lot, very little.
Yeah, it beats out everything else. Consistency always beats the workout or it's just like consistently staying on top of it.
Yeah.
So not only for your health, but I think also for your mental state and confidence.
Yes.
Yeah, just showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
It
I
has a huge impact.
Awesome. Well, it's been great.
Yeah.
Thank you
guys.
Thank
Thank you guys for
you
having
guys.
me.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Boom.